All right. All right. Well, welcome everybody. This is Rhythm for the Spoken Word. My name's Matt. For anybody who doesn't know me, I've been teaching revival stuff for a few years now. And Brian, why don't you take us through uh, who you are?
My
Thank you.
name is Bryan. I've been doing revival for many years. Recognize most of you there. And yeah, Matt and I have been doing this workshop. We've done it at Rhythm Renewal for some of you that have been there, but this is our first time doing it with this group. So might be a new experience for some of you. We're looking forward to doing it, and it's also new to us, of course, doing it in this format.
Yeah. It feels a little bizarre. We're usually sitting in a room with everybody in a big circle, and we get to feel that vibe of everybody's presence. So, thanks for joining us, and thanks for hanging in, and I'm sure. Oh, Sandy, you're in the backyard. I see it. Okay. Um, so. Um, I think what might be good in terms of getting used to the technology, first of all, is maybe just a little introduction for people who haven't done this workshop before, and then maybe a little warming up. So what this generally looks like is what Brian and I are doing here is trying to explore and help you guys sort of explore the intersection between music and writing. Um, it occurred to us when we put this thing together that those are really music and literature, spoken word or written language, have been part of our culture forever, and um, uh, it's a key feature in how we manage life experiences, right? So we share stories, we share thoughts and feelings, and when we set those to music, I think we found that this really interesting thing happened where the internal editor of our language can sort of be muted or shut off in our heads, and we can give over the language to musical expression, so that they enhance each other. How this workshop usually looks is that Brian will play some music. Everybody kind of joins along in that music, and then uh, uh, while you're doing that, you're kind of thinking about some things, and at some point, you kind of break from playing music and start writing, and see if that musically inspired stream of consciousness things, see where that leads you in terms of what we're considering. Um, there's a few things to maybe keep in mind with this. Number one, basic tools that you might need. We like, writing implements, of course. If some people like to do this on the fly, though, without writing, which is okay. It's really about thinking through things and then expressing that. Um, what else are we looking at? With these sort of prompts, we'll go through a couple writing sessions where I'll give you some prompts. And if those prompts aren't speaking to you, or you have a calling to explore another thought, another train of thought or feeling, I want to invite you to just disregard the prompts where you're just writing from an inspired place. Um, as well, trying to think here if there's any other things. Structure of the rating session. I'm sorry, reading my notes here. Um, yeah, as we go through, we'll kind of feel out sort of the structure for each part of this workshop. And so I'll have some more to say about that stuff as we go on. But in the meantime, Brian, did I forget anything? Just basic setup.
I don't think so. I
Okay.
just you know the writing is right as if no one's going to read it. You know, uh, don't worry about any kind of editing. your thoughts or anything. There'll be a chance to share if you choose, but we want to invite you to really let go with what you're writing and not concern yourself about any kind of final polished product.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, thanks for that, man. That's a key thing is just kind of putting down the internal editor and freeing yourself up and letting the music help that. Free yourself up to write from a place of comfort, even though what we're going to be writing about can sometimes get a little uncomfortable. Um, yeah, first things first. Let's try to get a feel for what experiencing music sounds like virtually. So the invitation here, Brian's going to play a little bit for us, and the invitation here is that you folks at home can, you know, pick up an instrument and play along, tap along, hum along, sing along. However you want to sort of match yourselves in with with what Brian's laying down for us. Yeah, if you have access to a drum or a harmonica, guitar, whatever you like, why don't you go ahead and grab that and try to get a feel for what playing along with Brian is going to sound like and feel like for you. Um, and we'll ask Brian to kind of take us through some musical warm up here.
Great. So this is my first time doing this virtually like this. So let's see how it goes. We'll do. I'm gonna basically the intention here is to kind of loosen up, get us out of our heads a little bit more into our bodies, loosen up. So that is really the only intention of the next. We're gonna say about 5 minutes or so. And I'm going to play this a calypso based beat. Many of you probably heard this, or kind of a popular drum circle beat. Just do 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 ga do 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 ga do do ga. So we'll do that first. I'll play. Let's take a minute just to kind of get in there, and then we might do some vocalizing again, just to kind of. I found that using your voice and drumming at the same time, whether you're doing it right or correctly, it has a nice effect on opening you up. All right, so here we go. Boom, ba ba boom, ba ba. Just do your best. It never really matters if you play it right, but now it really doesn't, because nobody can hear you.
All right, man. That was cool. That was cool. Uh, how'd that feel, Brian? Doing that all by your lonesome over there?
Strange. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, a little crazy, but that's I'm used to that, I guess. But yeah, um, yeah. The swearing was impromptu. Sorry for any listeners that don't know. That's actually a reference to something from Revival. So I wasn't just randomly swearing there.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. Thank you. So yeah, I don't know. So I think like in terms of our feedback, and I'd like to hear a little bit from people in terms of how that felt for you on your end. I was hoping we could use the comments section. If folks wouldn't mind, throwing up there one or two words to describe just how it felt, where it's just basically you and the master, Bryan Fazio, doing a an accompaniment together, which I thought was kind of cool, right? Melly says that was great. Yep, yep. Nice. Joyful like that, Debbie. Yeah, fun energy, lots of fun, fun, fun. That's cool. Yeah. So it's not like, because I think we get into this thing up at Revival where, we're gravitating towards each other. And I don't know what folks have been experiencing during quarantine, but maybe as you're coming into contact with people that you haven't seen for a while, I've just noticed, myself gravitating towards people physically, right? Just drawn to them physically and trying to hammer it in my head that, I need to keep my distance a little bit. And so this is kind of a different sort of experience where we're connecting virtually. That physical piece is missing for us, but we have this kind of open new way of connecting with other people. Oh, nice. Yeah, Tony, when I was playing, I had no sense Brian was playing by himself. Sounded melded. Really good. Really nice.
Good, great. Thank you.
Yeah. Smiling the whole time. Nice. Yeah, that's so great. That's great that was so positive for folks. Um, yeah, we've been thinking obviously a lot about quarantine leading into this revival. For a lot of us, the revival up in New York is one of the highlights of our year, and it's because we are so passionate and tuned into each other, right? So it's been, quite for me a letdown in terms of not being able to be with everybody. I missed last year, and then this year kind of doubled that. But I think it also plays against or has played against, the idea of quarantining in general, and the idea for me of social distance, which I have a lot of mixed feelings about. Brian, how about you? How you been doing in this quarantine
Um,
experience? Where
well, how long you got? You got. I have the mixed feelings is a good word for me. The the beginning of it is the first month or so I'll say was really fantastic. I was the everything just slowing down and kind of things being stripped down to what's really important was great. And I focused on music a lot, played incredible amounts of ping pong with my wife and daughter. My daughter's she can beat me now, like
nice.
just every once in a while, not too often, but we've had a streak of I think 50 days in a row of ping pong. So there was a lot of we were out in the yard a lot, playing a lot, and And then after about, yeah, I'd say about the 50-day mark, it was, I got hit just out of nowhere, just anxiety like I've never experienced before. Yeah, I'm feeling I feel the energy of it right now just talking about it. And so really since then, since about mid-May or so, I'd say it's been a real struggle. It's been I've still been able to find some time to do some great things with family. I've gotten to golf with my father, and I've been doing paintings. You can see some of them behind me there. I've been stuff like that. Has been nice, but a lot of it I'm also aware of is just distraction because if I sit still, it's anxiety, and it's like nothing. I've struggled with anxiety for many years on and off, but this is more intense than anything I've ever experienced. Just a pit in my stomach. I can cry at any second, and there's times where I am. I guess the best way to say it is I'm kind of outside of myself. I feel like I might be doing something, but it's almost like I'm watching myself do it. I'm not here, and I'm spending a lot of time avoiding fear. So yeah, it's occasionally I connect with someone who's experiencing that, but for the most part, I feel like I'm kind of just doing it on my own, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. So yeah, thanks for asking me that, Matt.
Matt, thank you so much for that response too. I think that's so important for us all to hear. That, and I think we're a pretty woke community, and certainly are right there with you. But it also sort of, I think, what's cool is it models, this sort of courage to share that, right? That, in the ways that we all struggle to hear you just so powerfully dig into what that's about for you, I think is a real inspiration. Um, for me, I'm a therapist by trade, and find myself talking to clients a lot about the courage to be in your feelings, right? The courage to just kind of sit there for a minute, uh, and experience where you are, and sort of from that develop or try to develop a kind of a compassionate response to yourself, right? A way of seeing yourself as a struggling human being without the pressure and the weight of feeling like you have to keep your shit together, that you have to be doing okay. Like, again, as a woke community, I think there's some pressure sometimes to feel like we don't struggle with that stuff. But here we are, right? I'm just looking at the comments coming in, bro. I don't know if you can see this, but this is great.
I can.
Yeah, good,
Thanks.
good.
Thank you.
And yeah, thank you everybody there for the support. And I'd invite everybody. It occurred to me as sort of a useful theme for today and for this workshop, that we all maybe kind of dig into this a little bit. People have struggled in various ways, right? Bryan beautifully just described what someone with anxiety can experience during a time like this. For myself, I've got sort of a long history with depression, right? So And I don't know. I think with sometimes with folks with anxiety, it's the same thing. Where in depression, oftentimes you want to just isolate. You kind of want to keep yourself away from other people. You don't feel fit for human company, right? And so, when the quarantine was called, when COVID struck, and quarantine was called, it became a suddenly this thing that I had gravitated towards all my life suddenly became kind of a problem, right? Where now I didn't have the option to access other people. And it made me more acutely feel that depression. And then, from within that, I started working towards a place where um, doing a lot of thinking about what the meaning of my relationships with other people is, and it has led me down a rabbit hole where I am having a really difficult time answering that question sometimes, some days. So I'm not sure. Again, I think that people are probably identifying with. I'd like to again, using the comments, the group chat over here, if people can chime in with just, you know, some recognition, a word or two of what your struggle with quarantine has been like. What have been your major barriers, your major conflicts? And I think in a little while we'll write about this, but just for now, just starting to explore what's here to unpack as we settle into this experience of a virtual group experience workshop. Um, so here we've got Michael, confusion, Laura, uncertainty. Um, there's been so much tearing us in different directions. Kathy, struggling with a loss of motivation. Hard to really see sometimes with no ability to distract, no ability to get to work or do the things that we're used to doing in order to cope with this stuff. Mindy, drawn to isolation while resisting it. Very good. Loneliness from Mel. Depression, anxiety, attention deficit. Really good one for Allison. Or I'm sorry, from iPhone. Not sure who you are. But yeah, attention deficit, the distractibility, the difficulty with racing thoughts or trying to be able to focus on something. Like our own minds are hard, we can't even get our own minds under control. Um,
I'm just
Lenny, I miss being with people, but the longer I'm alone, the more introverted I become. Now being with people makes me anxious. Lenny, thank you. That's me. That's me right now. As loving as this community is, and as well as I know some of you, still that anxiety, lots of negativity and drama. Oh, thank you, Linda. You're the iPhone. Cool. Um, so yeah, this is good, man. Wow, you guys are really coming in with some powerful things here.
I don't have
Um,
my keyboard, but I'll throw in um, shame.
Shame. Oh my God.
I feel a lot of shame about
Oh,
my fear. I see so many other people not afraid, and I'm
yeah.
like, what the fuck? Why am I so afraid?
Yeah. No. Excellent. Thank you, Brian. No, that reminds me too. I've been really struggling with the shame of not having experienced losses in the way that the loved ones of what 170,000 people who died, people who are experiencing financial hardship and potential eviction from their homes and just all of that and because I haven't experienced so much of that, I've been experiencing sort of a shame around that. Um, yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for this feedback, and thanks, Brian, for that as well. They're still coming in. Chaos, Joyce. Being a hugger, Lenny. weird that I don't want anyone around me now. Yes, you are a hugger, and yeah, that must feel so disconcerting, disorienting,
I'm with you,
displacing.
Lenny.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Yeah, looks like you guys are on this now. It feels like everyone is starting to dig into some deep stuff here. Melly, thank you. John, sense of loss. Melly, I feel like I'm the only one at times who feels a need or a drive for connection and conversation in real time. Good. All right. Well, hey, you know what? Let's let that carry us right into sort of our first prompt here. I'm going to throw it up on the comments box. Let me see. Did that? Yeah. Okay. There it is. You know what? Let me do that again. So that wants to be for everybody. So let me try this again. Okay. Let me just hit this real quick, guys. Sorry about the delay.
Hey Matt, your microphone is getting might be rubbing against something.
Brian, if you want to chime in for a minute, I'll get this prompt up.
Hey Matt, you want to check your microphone? This- There you go.
Okay, how's this, guys?
You got it.
Okay,
Excellent.
cool, cool. All right, so yeah, I put this prompt up here in the comments box. The prompt itself is maybe not as important as the spirit of it. So if it feels like there's too much here, you got something else you just want to chase down. So what's going to happen is Brian will start playing, and while he's playing, you guys can join along and you're playing. And while you're playing, you can think about some of these feelings here that we just sort of uncovered and identified as part of this. The prompt itself reads, that I'd like you to think about this experience of social distancing. And maybe a single experience occurs, or maybe it's multiple experiences that have occurred, where you've kind of confronted this idea. Oh, hey, here's how far I need to be from people, and however, whatever those feelings are that triggers. So here, I'd like you to write about this experience, your experience with social distancing. You may choose to include maybe what those circumstances are, but again, if it's attached to a lot of different circumstances, try to focus more on the feelings you were left with. All those feelings: frustration, sadness, the fear, the anxiety, anger, guilt, shame, grief, all that stuff that we've just identified. And see if you can just rewrite a little bit about that, right? While Brian's playing, whenever you decide to stop playing with them and start writing, just see where that takes you. Again, try not to let that editor stop you from saying what needs to be said, even if it's not pretty or polished or anything like that. So my closing question around this prompt is, what conclusions do you draw? What did you discover then about the importance of connection to other people, right? Importance of and connection to other people in your life, right? So if anybody has any questions, again, just throw them on the comments. I'll go ahead and answer them while Brian starts to play. Uh, um, at, at that point, I'd just turn it over to Brian right now. Thank you.
All right. And yeah, as Matt was saying, if you want to play along, feel free. Um, if you're ready to write, I would say go ahead and start with that. I'm just gonna play some relatively simple, or I should say medium to slow stuff to just kind of provide background music and Ideally, something that can just kind of take you into a peaceful, contemplative place.
and invite everybody while Brian keeps playing to think about winding things down a little bit, finish your thoughts. Maybe take another minute with that while Brian brings us down. And so, while everybody's kind of still in that space a little bit, I want to give you a little chance here to again throw up on the chat line um, how that felt to write about. Um, uh, what that experience was like. It seemed pretty positive before when we were playing with Brian, and this was just sort of letting him play for us, right? Yeah, while we, um, you know, kind of tended to ourselves, tended to our own needs, our thoughts, our feelings. Um, I felt very taken care of. That was so beautiful. Thank you, Brian. I felt like I was in a really safe space to just kind of explore some things. Um,
Thanks.
oh, what do we have? Yeah, thank you, man. That was wonderful. Yeah, yeah. What do you guys think? Again, just use the chat. Maybe throw up a word or two about what that was like for you, where it took you emotionally, where it let you reach. Debbie could face feelings, could play with thoughts and beliefs. Very nice. Robert, insightful and honest. That did feel very honest. Oh, Michael, good job, man. I couldn't write. I was too busy crying. Yeah, no, I bet it has. My heart goes out to you, man. We're all thinking about you, and I think again, similar in vein to um, uh, not feeling particularly pressured to play, write, just just feel, just kind of be where you're at, right? Use this time as a safe space to just be where you are. Melly, wow, it was gritty and dark and deep dive, but I felt great in the end. You're welcome. You're welcome. Stacy, finishing a thought because of personal bitch session. Okay. Mindy, release. Sandy, uh, oh, good little cry from Sandy. Oh, good, guys. That's so great to hear. Just that everybody's feeling similarly safe. Um, hmm. Janice felt like writing a Negro spiritual. Beautiful. It was painful but cleansing. How'd that feel for you, Brian?
Um, Good. I think after a couple minutes, I felt better, more relaxed, and just got out of my head for a bit. That felt good. And it's been a long time since I felt like I was giving myself up to um, other people. So
Okay.
at some point that kind of crossed my head, and I realized, oh wow, I missed this.
Yeah. Hmm. Good. Good. Uh, what do you do with that in terms of your anxiety, man? Just in terms of like feeling, like giving yourself up to people, right? What does that do for you in terms of your anxiety?
Hmm. Um, it helps for sure. I haven't been doing it at all lately though. Um, I was about to say I haven't been doing it enough, but really I haven't been doing it at all.
Mm.
And I've been quite frankly focused on myself a lot, and which is just sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Now I'm reading this note from this chat from Carol. Um, she says, "I don't want to feel it's too painful and sad, right?" And I think like whether that feeling is grief, depression, shame, anxiety, it's one of the hardest things for us to do is give ourselves the not just the permission to feel, but to prepare ourselves for the courage that it takes because it's so hard, it's so scary, it's so big, and yeah, the importance, I think, I don't know, so far what I'm seeing in this workshop is that even virtually, that we can create this space for each other that allows us to take these deep dives that allows us to challenge, and it's not necessary that we are in the same physical space. There's a mental connection here that I feel is really important. And this technology is really I think kind of showing me how this is possible. Um, Beautiful stuff. Thank you so much, guys. I kind of want to go right into another writing session, if that's okay. Just striking while the iron's hot and everybody's nice and open, because I think it's when we tap into these more challenging emotions that we feel. The intimidation factor can be so massive, and we forget maybe, or we never got a chance to experience in the first place some of the positive things that can result of challenging or negative emotions, right? But what I think it does is it sort of rips us raw, opens us up, strips us of our defenses, gets us really, really vulnerable. And it's through that place in vulnerability that we can really focus in on, um, uh, what we need to do or what we want to do. What can we do that maybe helps? Looking here um, from Linda, who identified grief, not being able to hug her mom and her son. And, she reached a point in this that she just said, fuck it, I'm going to do it anyway. Right. And so sometimes, some resolution or assertive position can come out of confronting these emotions, and can lead us to action that can really help us. Other times, maybe there is no action that can really help us, and all we need to do is express it. All we sometimes even just to ourselves, confront it for ourselves. That can feel better. So in this next writing session, I'm gonna ask you. Um,
Get
Are you hearing me? Okay.
Yeah, when your fingers are close to the actual little microphone area, it gets a little rumbly. So just
Okay.
want to let you know that.
All right. Thank you. Is this just yeah? Let me know. Let me know again, dude, if you're not hearing me. Okay. Sorry. Thanks. I'm getting some tech help here from Jim. So in the second rating piece, I want to think about what that feels like, that sort of internal connection with self that can become possible once you start to access and identify and explore what some of those more challenging or negative emotions is. So Here, I'd like you to think about an uplifting experience in social distancing, where maybe you were alone, maybe you broke down and did something for yourself, tried something new, took a walk in the woods alone, or just sat on your back porch, had coffee, watched the birds, etc. And try to describe that a little bit. Again, if not the circumstances, at least the feeling of that. I think it's possible too that right in the heels of a negative emotion, something like grief, that you can find peace in that. But that it requires some sort of connecting in with yourself in some way, a discovery in yourself, something surprising that you forgot was there or didn't ever know was there, some hidden strength that you didn't know you had, and that maybe emerged, however briefly, and gave you some hope, that we can make it through this time. So then, sort of a follow-up thought is, how can your connection with others enhance this connection with yourself? In other words, how do we take from our relationships with others a feeling of greater connection with ourselves? So at this point, then, I'm going to turn it back over to Bryan to maybe take us through a little musical journey of this.
All right. And I'm assuming most people are writing while I'm playing, and you're more than welcome to, of course, play along. But I'm gonna, for the most part, assume you're writing. And if things go well here, I'm gonna do some polyrhythms. So no worries if you feel like you're lost or anything. I'm doing it intentionally because I found that sometimes to not be able to lock into the rhythm can be create more of a trance effect. So I'm going to start off with a little bit of some polyrhythm stuff, and so that we're not necessarily thinking about rhythm, but instead just kind of experiencing sound.
Brian starts to bring us down a little bit, ask everybody to finish up their thoughts or continue to write. You can keep going as long as you want to. This one might have been a little bit more difficult for you, but yeah, feel that out as you start to close that down. Nice, man. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. How again using the chats. Now this one can be a little tougher, especially if we're really struggling with some things. Um, yeah, Debbie's got some insight here. Our brains are wired to look for the negative to keep us safe and survive. The good news is that we can train our brains to look for the positive. As we do, it becomes easier to see. Uh, awesome, awesome. Thank you, Debbie. Um, yeah, there's been some lots of times of challenges to be able to find what inside you or what inside me. I'll just speak for myself. Is really the hang up? Is it the idea that I'm struggling, or is it the struggle itself? Is it the concept of me struggling, or is it, certainly there's enough out there, pressure and negativity and pain that people are experiencing that uh, we can struggle to access. But then sometimes I get the feeling it's just the thought of myself struggling is actually what blocks me, from being able to dig into that stuff. Um, yeah, good stuff, everybody. So actually, what I think I'd like to do, since we're running a little low on time, is maybe rather than doing a general debrief, maybe we'll just go right into our final section of this workshop. Now we're scheduled to be over at 5:15, but I want to invite everybody and give everybody a chance to share some of these thoughts, right? To share some of this writing, and to see what it feels like when you actually put this work together with the music Brian's playing, right? So this is kind of the performance element, the spoken word performance element of this workshop. And what this looks like basically is that Bryan will play, and then when any of you are ready, would like to share, you could type your name into the chat room for me. I'd like to share. This is, and then state your name. And then what I'll do is I'll signal Bryan to bring the music to a close. That person, whoever I call, based on your signing up in the chat, will then open up their mic and read a little bit of what they wrote, or just share just what you're feeling right now, or just share some thoughts you had. It doesn't necessarily need to be clean, pretty, or polished. Again, I think what we're shooting for here is real. And when you're dealing with inspiration and coming from a real inspired place, that stuff looks raw. And I think raw, I don't know about you, but for me, whenever people get really raw, I get really sort of astounded and just admiring. I like being raw. although, yeah, it can feel a little scary. So, again, this is a share. You do not have to share, but I want to give everybody the chance to share. So if you are willing and able and ready to take that plunge, again, just type your name into the chat room and we'll have Bryan start some music. And when we're ready, I'll have him bring that to a close and I'll cue you to unmute your mic and read when Bryan stops the music. Hopefully that makes sense. I feel like I was just babbling a little bit there, but hopefully that makes sense. So, Bryan, if you want to start us back into the music, and like I said, we'll just go till people are done sharing, right? Yeah, however you want to set us up for that, Bryan, and then I'll cue you when we have some people set up.
Yeah, so this was, as Matt said, you guys feel free to play along with me on this one. Do a virtual, play together. Um, so we'll do that similar to that calypso thing, but a lot slower than we did in our intro. So just and then I'll count us in after each share. So it's gonna just be like around this tempo. Ba ba da ba 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 da ba 1, 2, 3, and 4 and.
I'd like to share.
Somebody ready?
Yeah,
All right.
Winoki, we're gonna come to you.
Okay. I'm going to read what I wrote.
Yep, absolutely. If you would like, we'll try to keep this. Yeah, keep it nice and
It's
succinct.
not too long.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Okay. Yes, there are losses in my life, but I've also found additions. Costuming while walking in our neighborhood has added numerous smiles and waves that I would not have experienced. Many smile now and wave first now. We all miss human contact. I did not know the joy of getting out the door by sunrise and celebrating the new morning with all of nature. There was time for me to read all along, but now I have found those times. There are so many great courses and Harvard classes to sample and selectively delve deep. Writers throughout time have written about our concerns, the concerns I have on my mind today. And I do miss kisses and hugs. And I will still see the gift that is my life and rejoice in it. As one gets older, that is a necessary learning.
Thank you.
3 and 4 and. Yeah,
All right, Sandy, you can unmute yourself.
I'm gonna finish with a call so we know when to stop together. Right here.
Hi, everybody. I'm not going to read what I wrote exactly, but the gist of it, and this is really weird because I'm on headphones, but so I can hardly hear myself. But I called on 2 examples of social distancing, and they're both with regard to my precious grandson, which is what brought me to tears initially when we started writing. Just, you know, the realization, two emotions. The first, the overwhelming emotion is sadness. He's, you know, the joy of my life, and I am seeing him, but wearing masks and we're distancing, no hugs or anything. And the sadness has just been pretty overwhelming. So I wrote about that, but in the second part, I wrote about the joy that comes from actually seeing him more than I saw him before. We FaceTime several times a day. So there are all these things I realize now that I felt like I was missing before, the day-to-day, because I didn't want to interrupt my son and daughter-in-law's by calling them every day, you know, every minute. I wanted to know what they're doing, what the baby's doing, it's growing. And so when we did the second part, I realized that that joy that he brings me every day and the experiences that I'm having through this horrible situation, it made me realize, I think, that the joy and the hope and the strength is really stronger than the sadness and the fear and the anxiety. I just have to recognize that sometimes.
And let yourself feel that. Thank you so
Yeah,
much, Andy.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Bryan.
3 and 4 and.
All right, Melly, we'll come to you next. You want to unmute?
I'm a therapist, so I have to listen a lot. So and my life hasn't changed going to work, but it's a lot harder having to wear masks with kids and they can't see you. But I think for sometimes therapists, we're so good at listening that we forget that other people can hear us, and some people don't want to hear us because they just need us to listen to them. So I think that's been a challenge. But what I really wanted to say was for all of the color people out here, Matt and Bryan, you guys helped me write something that I felt a lot, and now I feel like it's been heard. And then I had to express it in color for the people who've been saying they wish they could express in color but didn't have anything. I just wanted to hold up, you know, it's much more brighter and pinker than it looks online, but
Awesome.
thing I know. So, yes, thank you for letting me bring back color today.
Thank you so much, Melly. Yeah.
3 and 4 and.
All right, we'll come to Carol next. You want to unmute your mic? And
Sorry,
there
I
you
couldn't
go,
find the
Carol.
button.
That's okay. You go, girl.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm not going to read mine either, but I did find this exercise much easier than the first exercise. I'm really good at stuffing all the bad stuff away and keeping it locked and festering for years. So that's when it was like, oh, write about something uplifting. I was like, right on. Um, but yeah, like this was pretty early on in the beginning of all this when we knew so little about everything. Easter happened rather early this year. And we have this big Polish Italian family that, of course, food is very important. And we have all these traditional things that we make, and we always gather at my brother and sister-in-law's for a big family dinner. And my sister-in-law actually was the one that came up with the idea, but basically we all cooked what we would normally bring to the house, and we separate everything into packages so that, you know, one nephew's house, another nephew's house, etc. And we all met in my driveway with our masks and popped open our trunks of our cars, and everybody was just sharing everything. And then, so on Easter, we all had everything that was like traditional, and that's very comforting. I mean, and food has always been kind of a comfort thing for me too. So having the traditional food was very comforting. And then my nephew set up a Zoom call for everyone, and I was still kind of new to Zoom at that time. And of course, you know, the young kids, they're real good with the technology and stuff. So my nephew set that up so we were at least able to see everyone on the holiday. We were able to talk to everyone, and we were able to share that meal, even though we were in all these separate houses.
Nice. How wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
3 and 4 and.
All right, we'll come to Lynn next. So Lynn, if you want to unmute your mic. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thanks, Brian. I'm a pastor, and the very first Sunday after we were no longer eligible to worship together in our church, I invited my congregation to worship via Zoom, which is an experience all unto itself for everybody. And I was feeling a little uncertain because I had never led worship virtually before. And a little voice in the back of my head was telling me, start with square breathing, which is something that I learned here last year. And so I turned square breathing into prayer breathing, where we were doing the 23rd Psalm. Lord is my shepherd was in, and I shall not want was out. And I've continued this for 140 something odd days that we've been worshiping together. And the surprise was, first and foremost, I usually take care of the spiritual, emotional, and I don't think about the physical part normally. And I knew this would be good for them both spiritually, physically, and emotionally. And over the weeks, I've been hearing people come and say to me, oh, I was in this difficult situation, and I remembered to square breathe or to prayer breathe. One woman talked about being in an MRI and she was terrified of the machine, and she just prayer breathed her way through it. So I guess my big takeaway was the little voice in my head is a very good guide and I should pay attention to it. But beyond that, everything we learn has a potential to be used at some point in the future. So even though it wasn't used a year ago, now it's very relevant. And so for me, that's a great sense of assurance and comfort that, you know, all learning is for the good.
Beautiful. Thank you, Lynn. Yeah.
3 and 4 and.
Brian, if you would turn it down a little bit. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, that was Brian. Thank you so much for that awesome drumming. Everybody, you guys did so great. I hope you got to get a little bit of a sense of what that can feel like, and you know, not just the challenge of it, but the release of it, which I think is really what I love best about this workshop. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I think that's gonna wrap it for our day. Sounds like maybe dinner's on tap around 6 o'clock. For my part, you know, I miss you all. I wish we were in the same room, but this has been such a really interesting and I think encouraging for me, encouraging to actually feel this stuff when I'm not in the room with somebody, because that's something I find myself doing when I can't be with somebody. Then it's like I need to keep it out here, and this really helped me see that I can bring it in here and feel good about it and feel connected with y'all. So with that, I'm gonna sign out. Brian, how about you, buddy? Any closing thoughts?
It feels good to feel, even if it's just a little bit more connection to other people right now. I feel better than I did before we started this. So thank you, everybody. I really I'm happy to see everyone. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. I'm gonna throw this back to Jim. Y'all take good care of yourself and enjoy the rest of your time this weekend.
Hey, since we're at the end of a section here, open up your microphones for a second. Everyone, everybody unmute.
Yay!
Yeah, everybody unmute and just give them a big round of applause. An actual big round of applause.
Hey, Brian. Hey, Matt.
Guys.
Love you guys.
That was beautiful.